Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call this meeting of the Del Mar College Board of Regents to order at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, August the 12th. I'm going to call roll to establish our quorum. Dr. Babley? Here. Regent Loeb? Here. Regent Garza? Here. Dr. Adami? Here. Regent Averett? Here. Regent Kelly? Here. Regent Krull?
Here.
I'm Carol Scott. We have a quorum and can conduct business. Would you all please join us in a moment of silence? Thank you. Regent Garza, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please join us as we read our Del Mar College vision statement. Del Mar College empowers our communities to achieve their dreams. The college is streaming our live audio and video from the official Board of Regents meetings on the college's website in real time, with exception of portions of the meeting considered closed session by statute. We do open every one of our meetings with an opportunity for general public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to address the board on items not on the agenda today. I do understand we have one individual who is going to give us public comment today. Is that correct? Ms. Medrano, yes, please come forward and introduce yourself if you don't mind, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Escamilla, and staff. My name is Arlene Medrano, and I'm honored to introduce myself as the new Executive Director of the Corpus Christi Downtown Management District. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today and for your continued commitment to the growth and vitality of our community. I'm here to express strong support for the renewal of the Downtown Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 3 and to reaffirm DMD's dedication to partnering with Del Mar College. Over the years, this collaboration has helped drive meaningful public and private investment in infrastructure, housing, hotel, and retail development, benefits that ripple far beyond the boundaries of the zone. Over the last 17 years, the TERS has leveraged $21 million in business incentives to generate over $210 million in downtown development. That's both rehabilitation and new construction. The TERS is working. We've seen a 10-to-1 return on investment, and since 2008, net taxable values have increased 89% in the zone. This success would not have been possible without the consistent support of Del Mar College. With the opening of the new Harbor Bridge and the forthcoming demolition of the existing structure, we are at a pivotal moment. These transformative developments offer a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We are all from Corpus Christi, and we all want to see a thriving downtown. As we look ahead, I'm excited about the possibilities for deeper engagement and shared initiatives that align with the college's mission and the TERS's goals. I welcome the chance to work closely with you and your team to ensure our efforts continue to serve students, faculty, and the broader Corpus Christi community. Participation in the downtown TERS signals your investment in the long-term health and growth of our city. A thriving economy leads to more internship opportunities, job placements, and partnerships, which benefit students and staff. You have each received a copy of the DMD's resolution of support for the renewal of the TERS that was passed by our 17-member board of directors, as well as our FY24 impact report and our FY24 service plan. So please look at those at your leisure. Thank you again for your time and consideration. I look forward to building a strong and productive relationship with each of you.
Thank you, Ms. Medrano, for being here today. Is there anyone else for public comment today? Seeing none, we have a pretty lengthy agenda today. We are, however, going to start with closed session. We do have a couple of items and some individuals who have some time constraints today. So the board is going to go straight into closed session. So at this time, I'm going to read that closed session language. We're going in under Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with legal counsel, and Texas Government Code 551.074A1 regarding personnel matters. The time is 11:04 a.m. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to call our meeting back into session at 1:33 p.m. We do not have an action item coming out of closed session at this time. We are going to go back to our agenda, and we appreciate everyone sticking with us during that extended closed session. We apologize for the length of it, but while you may have heard a couple of laughs coming out of it, I promise you we were having a good time while we were doing important work. All right, we're going to go back to our regular agenda and have the opportunity for some recognitions. We're going to start off with Mr. Raul Garcia as he brings forward his team to be recognized for their Certificate of Achievement from the GFOA. Raul and team, get the whole team up there.
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Regents, Mr. President. My group is very shy. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to Dr. West, Jackie Landrum, and Christina Gonzalez, and team members for their close collaboration in preparing the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report. Their efforts have once again earned the Government Financial Officers Association Award for Outstanding Financial Reporting. For context, the association's mission is to promote excellence in public finance by supporting institutions like Del Mar College in the development and implementation of sound financial policies and best practices through education, training, and professional networking. The college has proudly received this distinguished recognition annually since 2010. The team is confident that the college will continue this tradition of excellence in financial reporting. Dr. West is the lead author of this report, so I will ask her to step up to the plate and say a few words. Yeah.
Thank you, Raul. We appreciate the recognition, and we are always very proud and pleased to receive our awards from the GFOA. And I want to say it is an example of the teamwork and collaboration that it's not just us, it takes other people like Sushil giving us data, Tammy's group, payroll, Katrina gives us payroll information. So it is definitely a team effort, and we appreciate everyone's support, including yours. Thanks.
Well, 15 consecutive years. I think that deserves a round of applause. Congratulations. Next, we're going to ask Dr. Holcomb to come up to the podium and introduce one of our latest Leadership Corpus Christi class members. All those who are graduates of Leadership Corpus Christi, please raise your hand. We've got a number of folks who participated in that program. And those who taught leadership. Dr. Holcomb.
Madam Chair, Regents, Dr. Escamilla, and staff, I'm pleased to announce that Associate Professor of Kinesiology and Education, Christy Urbick, has been selected for Leadership Corpus Christi Class 54 by the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. The 10-month intensive program is designed to cultivate both emerging and established leaders by building the skills, knowledge, motivation, and vision necessary to strengthen our community. After a comprehensive or competitive application, that is, process, 30 individuals were chosen that have leadership potential, community involvement, and passion for shaping the future of Corpus Christi. We are proud that Dr. Urbick was selected. Dr. Urbick has demonstrated strong instructional leadership since joining Del Mar College as an instructor and intramural director in 2016, and was recently promoted to associate professor this fall of 2025. She began serving as chairperson of the Department of Kinesiology and Education in 2022 and has served this past year as chair of Chairs Council, which is a huge job to lead all of the 17 chairs. Her many leadership skills, along with her collaborative spirit, and I emphasize collaborative spirit because it's very true of Dr. Urbick, That has enabled her to make significant contributions to numerous institutional committees, including Pathways, Strategic Planning, and the Student Steering Committee, to just name a few, and to connect to our students and help them navigate through the college. In 2024, if you remember, she completed her EDD in Community College Leadership through Kansas State. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Christy Urbick for being selected for Leadership Corpus Christi.
Wow, that was nice. Thank you, Dr. Halcomb. I really appreciate that. Madam Chair, Board of Regents, Dr. Escamilla, I just want to thank you for your continued support. I really look forward to being in the Leadership Corpus Christi class of 54, which I heard is the best class so far. So I'm just very excited to be able to connect with the community more, understand more of what's happening out there, and then be able to bring that back here to Del Mar College. So thank you again for your support, and Dr. Halcomb for your recommendation and support, and Jack Southard as well. He was supportive of me being in this as well. So thank you so much.
Congratulations. So for those of you who don't know, the inside joke around Leadership Corpus Christi is that the current class is always the best class ever. So that is the ongoing joke. So class 54 is indeed the best class ever. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Jeff Olson, recognizing one of our staff members with college relations.
Thank you, Regents, Chair Scott, Dr. Escamilla. It's my privilege to be a part of a team that truly is a group of talented professionals here at DMC. One of those all-stars is Tanya Shoemaker right here. And she's our graphic designer. And before I tell you what it is that she's done, I just want to thank her for the incredible work that many of you have seen around these campuses regularly. Whether you're walking through the library and seeing some of the amazing graphic design work we have there, whether you're looking at the view book that the students are looking at, window clings, or the poffer that was referenced just a little bit ago. Up here, we have an example of Tanya's fine work. Her work is everywhere. It's very visible on display. And the reason she's here in front of you today is because the young business professionals of the Coastal Bend on Friday are going to recognize Tanya as part of the new Corpus Christi Under 40 class. So please join me in giving her a round of applause for that incredible effort. Tanya, did you want to say a few words?
That was also so nice. Thank you, everyone. I'm super grateful to be here. I attribute a lot of my professional success in Corpus Christi to being a member of the Del Mar team. I've been at Del Mar my entire residency in Corpus Christi, so it's helped me ingrain myself in this community, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Shoemaker. All right, we will go straight into our college president's report. Dr. Escamilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, congratulations to all those recognized today, from the teams to the individuals and to the broader team. We're just so blessed with talent here at Del Mar College. It's just inspiring, really is. I'd like to begin with an update that July 16th through the 18th was our Texas Association of Community Colleges annual and summer meeting, and I attended in Austin. It was a bit different in that the TAC included many more vice presidents and so forth. I was fortunate to be there in attendance with also Dr. Natalie Villarreal was asked by TAC to present at this meeting, and there was, who else? Augie, this guy to my left. I'm sorry, I can't see him over here. Also presented there at the conference as well, and they represented the college extremely well in standing room only in their presentations. I couldn't go to Natalie's because I had a president's meeting to go to, but I went to part of Augie's, and again, it was standing room only, so extremely well represented, and it was a great meeting overall. Maybe they can talk about it. You want to talk about it or anything? You want to redo your presentation for the next hour? No? Okay. Hearing none, I'll move on. The sounding board, I want you to know on July 23rd, I continue to be a member of with the sounding board for for the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board CEO, Wynn Rosser. And as such, those are opportunities with a very, very small group to really build a relationship. I'm seeing it very differently. I'm seeing an opportunity to develop a relationship with Dr. Rosser. I've not known him before his new role that he just undertook in January, so I want the board and everyone to know that I'm knocking on his door, and he's already getting phone calls from me in my office to set things up for a face-to-face conversation in the future. The sounding board will just be a piece, I hope, of the bigger puzzle with our relationship. On August 7th, both Chair Scott and I presented on Del Mar College, our favorite subject, to the London Business Association. And it was a fantastic opportunity, another full house, and people, really taking in the message of the day about Del Mar College. So that's my update. I'll answer any questions. And Madam Chair, you want to chime in on the presentation?
Just appreciation to the college relations staff for putting the presentation together for us. As always, y'all made us look good. Thank you for that. Any other questions for Dr. Escamilla? All right, we're going to move on to our staff reports. We have a number of staff reports today, and we're going to start with Mr. Olson coming up and talking about a connection with Texas A&M Kingsville, the Viking Way, and Caring Campus.
Thank you, Regents, Chair Scott, President Escamilla. I wanted to just briefly update you on the progress of a really important initiative that was born out of the strategic planning process. As we were preparing to roll out Charting the Viking Way, it became really clear that something that this community was really seeking was connection, right? We were coming out of the pandemic. People didn't have that sense of connection that had been there for many years. But they wanted to feel a connection not just to our mission, but to an increased sense of connection with each other. So there was this idea that the one thing that we all have in common, our dedication to the service of students, could be the thing that really brought us all together. And it was out of that idea that the Viking Way was born. And that's what I'm going to talk about just a little bit here today. So what is the Viking Way? Well, in higher ed jargon, we call it a culture of care initiative, right? And the most common of these you may have heard of. It's called Caring Campus. A lot of campuses institute this culture of care initiative. But it's not uncommon across the private sector. Even down the street at the hospital at Driscoll, they have the Driscoll Way. HEB has their own culture of care initiative. Essentially, data show that when employees are happy, then customers are happy, right? So what the Viking Way is, in simple terms, is it's our commitment to our students. So we're taking the behaviors and the practices that have made DMC special for 90 years, and we're putting them into writing. And we're going to have our new employees learn all of these different behaviors and practices. Our existing departments go through kind of this academy and course to learn these different practices. And if we rally around all these different behaviors, then our students are really going to thrive, right? Because it's going to benefit them at the end of the day. So what's that going to look like? Well, essentially, the Viking Way is going to take a lot of planning, and we're almost to the end of the initial kind of design of a guidebook that we've been putting together. And the guidebook is basically the operational plan of the Viking Way in 3 separate components, which you see up here. We have the Viking Academy, we've got Viking Service, and we've got Viking Social. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Viking Academy today, and then in future presentations we'll talk a little bit about Viking Service and Viking Social. But essentially, the Viking Academy is the place where, imagine if you're a new employee or an existing department, you go into this really fun and engaging course where you learn a little bit about kind of the magic that makes DMC special. What are the real brag points and things that we've been doing in this community for 90 years? And then you're going to learn what these behaviors are that have made DMC so successful. And these are really obvious kinds of things, things like we wear name badges. We smile at each other, at our students. If a student walks nearby to us, we greet them. If they ask us how to get somewhere, we don't point to a building in the distance. We say, hey, I'm going to walk you over there, and I'm going to do a warm handoff to somebody that's going to take care of you from that point forward. So although these things seem intuitive, the data really show that when people rally around this stuff, retention numbers really go up, right? So we're getting kind of a back to basics, the way we connect with each other and the way that we connect with our students. And we think that's going to make a really significant difference moving forward. So something happened this summer that we weren't expecting, right? We're nearing the end of the planning process for the Viking Way, and we get a call from our friends at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. And they said, hey, why don't you guys come and check out this thing we're doing called Caring Campus? They chose to do that Culture of Care initiative. So we went out and we met with them. We took a team of people. And we said, we're kind of doing this thing called the Viking Way, but it's similar to what you guys are doing. And they said, why don't we join forces? We'll align the Viking Way with some of the things we're doing with Caring Campus, and we'll make it a transfer initiative, right? So the students feel supported on both ends, on the Del Mar side, but also on the Tamuk side, with the same kinds of experiences they have with staff and faculty moving forward. And then we decided we're going to lean into that even more. And on our admissions team, we're going to make some changes where we're going to have some dedicated transfer counselors who, utilizing our CRM, will identify students coming into Del Mar that say, hey, I want to transfer to TAMU CC, or I want to transfer to UT, or Texas A&M University, Kingsville. We'll say, let's help you with that, right? We'll figure out the optimal time for you to transfer, for you and for the institution, because this really aligns with HB8 and outcomes. And then we'll be the ones that coordinate with the transfer counselor over at Texas A&M University Kingsville, or whoever the partner is, and we'll set everything up for those students so they know what their requirements are, when they might be transferring, all of these details. And there are a lot of students that fall into this category that we're really going to deepen the level of service that we can give to them. And this Viking Way initiative is going to be a big part of creating that kind of experience for them. On top of that, with Dr. Halcom's leadership, we're going to take out a step further, and we're going to examine all aspects of transfer pathways to make sure that our students achieve the outcomes that they're looking for. So there's a committee that's being led by Dr. Halcom, meeting regularly now, and we're going to take that to the next level moving forward. So just briefly, the timeline for this thing, what you're going to see happening over this coming semester is that we're finishing up this guidebook that lays out all the values and behaviors that we really hold dear here at Del Mar, and that'll be finished by the time school starts. And then we're going to start running running staff members and faculty members through the academy. And we'd really like for the Regents to be one of the first cohorts that goes through the Viking Academy. It's a brief thing. It's about 45 minutes. College Relations will be one of the other first groups to go through. But we're going to be doing this on staff first, and then extending it to faculty and other folks as well. But we're really excited to get it started, and especially this transfer initiative piece of it. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about it moving forward, but I wanted to just update you on the basics and open it up to any questions you might have about the initiative or what we might have planned. Regent Turner.
Go ahead.
On this, on your transfer initiative, is it just going to be for transferring to just Texas colleges, or are you going to be adding support for those who are wanting to transfer to other colleges in other states?
Sure. Well, we're starting with our local universities and partners in the area that have come. They've reached out to us, so we're going to start there. But with a lot that's been going on in the legislature and with HB8, we have opportunities with ICUT universities and all kinds of transfer pathways that we can open up opportunities for students through this kind of transfer center initiative. So we're just getting started, but the idea is to make as many opportunities available as possible to the students.
Didn't have a question, but I wanted to remind the Board of Regents that you have an opportunity to participate in the Viking Way by welcoming students on Monday and Tuesday, August 25th and 26th, if your schedule allows you. Delia sent you an email yesterday, and if your schedule allows you to show up to one of the campuses and help welcome students back for the semester, we encourage you to do that and to shake their hand and help show them a way. Somebody will tell you where to send them, and maybe you can do the warm handoff. But
absolutely. Thank you. And after you go through the academy, everyone will get one of these little helmet pens to wear to tell other people about the academy and spread the word. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, we've asked Dr. Natalie Villarreal to give us a legislative update. We're going to hear several updates over the next several months between our general counsel, Tammy McDonald with policies, and obviously Dr. Villarreal, but this is the continuing conversation about what's happening at both Austin and Washington, D.C. that affects our community college operations. Dr. Villarreal.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Dr. Escamilla, Regents. So in June, you received a general overview about what had happened in the 89th legislative session. And so today, what I'd like to do is go over some of the laws that are coming into effect September 1, and then also talk about some federal legislation that has recently happened in the past few weeks that is going to affect our community college students. So starting with our special session, so we're currently in that right now. You've been hearing a lot about it in the news. It's 30 days, right, called by the governor. And so this special session is July 21st and it ends August 19th. And so right now we are on a pause. And you know, there's a lot going on. So what I would like to do is just stick to the two main areas that are affecting our community college students. But we do know that Governor Abbott has confirmed that there is, in fact, going to be a second session and possibly more. So we will keep you posted on that. But the two main areas that are affecting our community college students right now are Senate Bill 9 and Senate Bill 12. And how that affects us is with Senate Bill 9, that is relating to the calculation of our voter-approved tax rate for certain taxing entities. The good thing for us right now is that our advocates have helped to ensure that special entities were taken out of that bill. So as of right now, we are not part of that. But we do know from the last session and what we talked about in June is that tax relief, it was a major concern for the 89th session, and the governor and certain individuals did not feel like that there was enough done. So we know we're going to continue to see that as well. So keep that in mind. The second one is SB 12, and that one is regarding the taxpayer-funded lobbying restrictions. And so we do know that that could affect us on many different levels across the state. And so right now, Texas Association of Community Colleges is currently working on making sure that we get some practical guidance on the wording of that if it were to pass, because we are going to have to pivot and make some changes within our community college organizations and how we advocate at the state level. Does anybody have questions on that? I did also attach a map for you on House Bill 4, which is our congressional redistricting. As we know, President Trump has asked Texas to redistrict, and that is where HB 4 comes in, and we are currently stalled. The map that you have is a pretty basic map, but I do have an interactive map. Madam Chair, I believe you have that one as well. So if you'd like, we can text it to you because it's easy to manipulate on the phone. You can really see the details of the redistricting and how it would affect our area. And just to give you an example right now, Corpus Christi is carved out in a couple of different ways if you've had a time to really look at the map. So for example, District 34, which starts in the valley and is Vicente Gonzalez Jr.'s area, that would be Windward Campus and Oso Creek Campus, whereas our Heritage Campus off of Ayers and Baldwin would still stay under District 27, which is currently held by Michael Cloud. So there are going to be a lot of different challenges. We really don't know where that is headed right now. But again, it's all over the news. I'm curious to see what you hear as well as the weeks continue, and we'll wait and see what transpires. Does anybody have any questions on that? Thank you. Moving on from special session to the 89th session recap. Again, this is what we went through for the past 6 months regarding what the priorities were for the 89th session through the Texas Association of Community Colleges and the Community College Association of Texas Trustees. In terms of appropriations for our budget cycle for 2026 and 2027, we saw an increase overall for the 50 community colleges with over $2.4 billion. We also saw that $89.5 million, if y'all remember, that was supplemental, right? That was because the colleges had done so well in the current biennium that we were asking to recoup some of that so that we could really stay true to the new numbering system and the appropriations that we had been asked to meet. And then we also received $165 million across the state with FAST. Now that is double of what we received across the state from the previous biennium. And then also TEOG was also increased significantly. We also talked about that in June. Although that was increased significantly, there were some changes in some of the restrictions in what students were going to be eligible for that. So it was more money, but it was going to be restricted to a smaller amount of students. And so you can see here how Del Mar College specifically fared for 2026 and 2027. And what this really does paint the picture in that the changes in our appropriations with House Bill 8 funding changed the model for us in terms of our overall appropriations. However, if you look at the FAST funding, we had an over 44% increase, and then with TEOG, a 46% increase. So what the big picture tells us right now is that the state is really prioritizing dual credit. That is significant, and we have some real opportunity there to continue growing that. However, on the other side, in terms of all of our other certifications and credentials, there really is a wide variety, and year to year, the rules are changing. So we're going to have to be very mindful in how we calculate and plan for the future for our students and our programs, because the state is really looking and shifting things possibly year to year. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Madam Chair. Just a quick comment. So just as you stated, Dr. Villarreal, that the state is showing, a direction of where those dollars will be, amply funded in the future. They're showing where they expect their priorities to be, and the correlation of those priorities of the states and Del Mar College we'll be bringing back to you with more staff presentations and the like. We're still, don't get me wrong, we're not just going to follow those priorities. When students come, with their expectations and their dreams of, being whatever it is in a particular field, we're going to do everything we can to support those students as well. But again, you can see that direction. The good news is that it already aligns with our priorities here, and with our shifts in our budget. You'll see how we are proposing to fund things that just will correlate with what we have up here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And so since we last met in June in conversations with the coordinating board and with TAC, we do know that every year the credentials of value will be revisited at the end of the spring in April and May, and then new numbers will be released in June. So credentials of values have the opportunity to change from year to year, which can be good if if a program wasn't in the year before, but it's also very challenging when it comes to budgeting and our students' programming. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a question. I mean, you're saying year to year. Now, the legislature only meets every 2 years, so when the commission or the education board will decide what those changes will be, or?
Yes, sir, the coordinating board. So right now, they're already doing that. They receive information in the spring, around April and May, in terms of our higher degrees, our high value degrees and credentials of value already. So they're going to continue that. So then next April and May, they will get another report and look at and see how these, I believe we looked at them at the last meeting. There were 16 areas that are no longer going to be considered a credential of value. Those could possibly change by next June.
So, but the funding is approved each legislative session, so the funding will remain constant. They're just going to change or maybe tweak some dollars in one direction or another?
Yes.
Or is that the way I'm understanding it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the way we understand it so far,
Okay. All right.
Mr. Garza. And we don't necessarily agree with the methodology because we have to be very careful, because the student will come here and expect to spend, at least a period of time, most likely more than a year. And so we have to be careful with shifting and being overcorrective and or precipitous, overreactionary, whatever word you want to use there, because we know ultimately that could hurt the students. So we have to bring them in, monitor the changes, hopefully have input in those changes as we move ahead. We suspect it'll change. Again, I think this is a methodology that is a cooling off methodology for the system of the community, or for the 50 community colleges to have been perceived as overheating, as Chair Scott was saying. And we just have to keep our student first and foremost in our priorities, so that we don't hurt them by changing. I'm going to let the commissioner know that this methodology is not conducive to the student's experience.
Yeah, the concerns that I have is, if there's changes every 2 years, at least we have an opportunity to be able to approach or to make a case to the legislature. But when you've got a coordinating board that you don't have access to, or at least from my standpoint, don't have access to, I don't know how you make a case for not making some drastic changes that could hurt your student populations that are moving.
The team and I have been meeting, and everybody shares the same concerns and so forth. But so, but then, and there are things that we talked about at the last meeting with Dr. Turner, and talking about the various experiences of students coming in with their expectations. It's all going to boil down to those meetings with their advisors, whether they're the classroom professors that they're dealing with, our advisors, department chairs. It's going to take that one by one kind of effect to really get inside those students' heads and really find out where it is that they want to go. A lot of times they're choosing things just out of timeliness and moving on and trying to just get on with life. We're going to have to be more intrusive. That's the term we've been using with our advising models and so forth, and do everything we can to affect the students one by one.
That's going to be challenging, that's for sure.
That's for sure. We have a great team, though. We're ready for it.
I had the opportunity to look at some of their reimbursement data and saw how big of a problem it looked that some schools had done on granting multiple certificates for the same thing. And the data is so bad, I would just comment to them that if they are trying to meet their budget by cutting out degree programs, essentially they are punishing those of us who were honest actors. And if they are attempting to encourage us to act honestly, they are not doing that, because basically it looked to me like some other schools are making a whole lot of money by seeing how many different degrees and certificates they can award the same person for the same.
Yeah.
And they're taking it out on us rather than on the people who did that.
We were first presented with that early in the semester, the spring semester, with the sounding board committee that I'm on, and I'm proud to say that our college operates with extreme integrity, and we had little to residual amounts of that type of activity. It was such minuscule amounts. There are other schools that had been doing this for a very long time, and so there was that was noticed too. And so why hadn't anybody said anything over the years? But all that's being corrected, Regent Loeb, and so as such, I think whereby during a very interesting legislative session, they all are, I know, but we could have, as a group of 50 colleges, been thrown under the bus, so to speak, with that kind of activity. But everybody chose to just keep that, as data in front of us and rectify the situation with good faith. We're able to do that, and so I'm happy to say that we're bringing all the other colleges into compliance with this. And again, it's the overheating effect that we have to watch out for. Again, I don't agree with the methodology, but we'll continue to move forward.
Thank you. And Regent Gattuso, for sure the advocacy continues now, even though the session is over and those rules have already been approved by the coordinating board. They just met recently to formally approve all of the rules that came out of the 89th session. But the advocacy really is continuing right now with conversations like Dr. Escamilla mentioned with the coordinating board. TAC is still involved. A lot of our professors and instructors are still in Austin, working and having meetings to ensure that they're being heard, because right now we're not hearing students first, and that is very concerning. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and add one more thing regarding governance. This was the powers and duties of faculty and council senate that was coming up very quickly, the September 1st deadline. And so this is something that the coordinating board did, again, meet on this week and approve those rules. And Dr. Halcomb and Mr. DeVetta have been meeting with our faculty diligently to talk about the changes, how this affects our current structure, what we already have in place, and how we needed to shift. And so I don't know if Dr. Halcomb or Mr. DeVetta, if you wanted to add anything on some of the details that the board can expect.
None other than we appreciate the college coming together to work on this, which is all under a real short timeline. But we're going to comply, and you should expect at the end of the month on the 26th board meeting, board members, Regents will have a proposed resolution in order for you to consider and approve.
This will be a tag on to the budget approval process.
It has to do with the faculty senate or faculty council issue, because as of September 1, you're supposed to have a new policy in place.
We have been working with TAC in making sure that we have the right policy for you to look at, and then also to ensure that our faculty and staff are still represented in this space while following the current law. So you'll be receiving information on that soon.
So much of those activities have already been taking place here at the college for a long time. We really are just, if anything, reinforcing and or formalizing the best practices that I think, and I firmly believe that Del Mar College has been known for a very long time.
So Mr. DeVetta and Jessica Alanis and I had the opportunity to go to a day-long meeting last week with TASB and really go through some of these new laws. And, right now it's still very early. Yes, we have 150 pages of everything that affects our community colleges. And, right now we really still are in limbo. A lot of the laws coming in, usually they're unfunded, and they're very broad. And so there's some things that we're going to continue to keep trying to work on and get details on that, as of today, going into the new semester, we really don't have answers yet. But we're being diligent with our requests. I'm going to go ahead and move over to federal legislation. Again, a lot happened this summer around the big, beautiful bill and really trying to change things budget-wise at the federal level, and wanted to talk about how that is affecting our current community college students. So there were major changes in our Pell Grants, changes in student loans, and then a lot of accountability and regulatory changes. But again, as we continue to meet, and Madam Chair, I know you listen in on some of the webinars as well at the federal level. Although there's things happening, big picture, we're hearing all these things out in the media, once you get into the details and you start seeing the work that is happening, some of the things aren't as they seem. So for example, there's so many different updates that are happening with Pell Grant. One of the resources that was attached to this presentation was an overview of all the federal changes. So I don't want to read all of that to you, but I just want to hit some of the highlights in terms of our students and the support that they're receiving with financial aid. So, for example, changes in Pell foreign income of a student's spouse and parents is changed in the adjustable gross income on determining Pell eligibility. Students who receive non-federal grant aid that covers the entire cost of attendance are not eligible to receive a Pell Grant. We have checked with Dr. Dominguez and our financial aid director, Joseph Ruiz. That does not affect our Freedom to Dream students. So we know that they're in the clear. Also, although there's changes in Pell that may seem confusing, we really weren't given a lot of information on the one that we had been advocating for quite a long time, and I want to thank the board for doing this. It's been probably a good 6 or 8 years that we've been talking about workforce Pell. So this is extending Pell eligibility to programs between 150 and 599 clock hours that are up to 8 weeks. And so these programs are also going to have to come through the state. The governor is going to have to determine if these programs have a high skill, high wage profile and are in demand. But then there's going to be checks and balances with the Secretary of Education, and there will be a formula that the federal level will be looking at to ensure that these Pell Grants are working to ensure that these programs are adding value to the workforce. These grant changes are not going to go into effect until 2026, 2027. So we do have some time to dig into these and get into more detail on how that's going to affect our students. In talking with Dr. Rivera and Dean Benavides, we are going to have to change some of our OSAs. And these rules that I just kind of rattled off to you don't really coincide with the House Bill 8 regulations. So again, these are all details that we're going to have to figure out and ask for clarification for as we move forward. They also did some changes in terms of graduate federal aid. So for example, they're terminating the Graduate Plus loan program, and then they've changed the loan limits for our graduate and professional students and for the Parent Plus borrowers. So although that doesn't directly impact our students here who are attending Del Mar, it could eventually down the line impact our students if they continue their education. In regards to other updates, we do continue to have our federal TRIO grant program, which was great to hear. That has been extended. Dr. Dominguez, did you say for 5 years? The next 5 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So we're really excited to hear that. Again, there was a lot out there in the space talking about how all of these programs were going to be eliminated, but we're really happy to hear that our TRIO program and grants are going to continue. Also, our adult education and literacy program and our English as a second language program, right? So our GED and ESL programs, we were being told that it was an uncertainty. But we did receive our money in July for this current year, and we do know that it has been extended as well. So we are very excited that we're going to be able to continue to serve those populations. And just to give you an idea, Dean Benavides was telling me we have about 370 students in our AEL program currently working towards their GED, and then we have 286 students in the ESL program. And I believe they just had orientation yesterday, Dean Benavides, and so they had over 30 students as well. So these programs and these dollars definitely affect our community and are impacting the college, so we're really grateful. We did see Congressman Cloud a couple of weeks ago, and we did extend our thanks for the workforce Pell and talked to him about continuing working on the other areas that would be helpful for our students.
Dr. Villarreal, may I just?
Yes, sir.
That's another 600 students that are not reflected in these numbers here. We can have, and we will have some updates as we move on throughout the course of the year, as we typically do, but that's another 600 plus. I just did some basic, as my wife says, boy math, so I came up with about 600, okay? So again, 600 more precious souls that are relying on us to get their GED and to develop their skills in the English language.
Does anybody have any questions? No, thank you.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal. She's been doing a great job of running point for all of us on this, and it's been a lot. And I just wanted to make a comment about what's coming out of DC. know the Department of Education, despite all rumors, is still around. It has not gone defunct yet, and they've been quite busy. But they're issuing things that we're trying to stay on top of. And there's a New York Times Magazine article that came out, and I'll share it with all of you just on Sunday, that talks about the impact that the Trump initiatives are having on community colleges in particular. And they profile, I think, a community college in Michigan, and they talk about the issues that befall a community college when these things like anti-DEI initiatives. I mean, the Attorney General of the United States just issued another guidance memo just 2 weeks ago saying anybody who holds federal grants or gets federal funding is going to be audited and looked at, like we've already been dealing with here in Texas, to see what they're doing with respect to DEI activities. So just stay tuned and be patient, and if you have any questions, call us. But I just wanted to let you know that it's a lot right now that's coming out from DC, and that's impacting us, whether we're the target or not.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. So we continue to provide these resources. I know that there's a lot going on, and our staff has worked hard to try to keep us aware. So I'll just reiterate what Mr. Rivera said. If you hear something or read something and you need more information, please let Dr. Escamilla or Dr. Villarreal or Mr. Rivera know, and they'd be happy to try to talk through whatever you're hearing or reading and talk about how it applies to Del Mar College. Next up in our staff reports, we're going to have a budget update. Mr. Garcia and team are going to give us, we're going to discuss kind of where we are on the budget right now, and then we have action items later on to actually call the hearings in a couple of weeks. So we won't take that action now, but this is all leading up to those action items later on today, and then our full budget hearing and adoption in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So during the recent workshop, members of the board expressed interest in exploring opportunities to reduce property tax rate while securing financial resources necessary to support our wraparound student support services that will make Freedom to Dream pilot initiative a success. The college has also identified at the workshop ongoing downward pressures to our revenue from changes relating to state performance funding model and continued legislative efforts, which we just heard from Ms. Natalie, that will limit the college's access to property tax revenues. We anticipate these fiscal constraints will consist in the months ahead. Today's budget proposal was adjusted with these factors in mind. It includes targeted adjustments designed to meet the evolving needs of the college while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Ms. Landon will highlight these changes during the presentation. One more slide, yes. Okay, so the slide serves as a reminder of the budget plan calendar that has been under discussion for several months. The most critical submission deadline to the Texas coordinating boards are September 1 submission for our 2025 and the 2026 budget plan, which is September 30th for the tax rate submissions. Are there any questions? Okay. And then Patricia Benavides will now speak on enrollments.
Hello, everyone. The enrollment report summary data that you see in the first box reflects the breakdown of enrollment and percentages by student type, regular, dual credit, and Freedom to Dream. As of today, we have a little over 1,400 students in Freedom to Dream, and that enrollment we anticipate perhaps could go as high as 2,000. The deadline was August 1st, and we are committed to helping students as they have signed the agreement, and we are assisting with registration up until August 23rd, Saturday, August 23rd. The second box highlights the 24-25 enrollment comparison between regular and dual enrollment. The percent change is trending positively and is growing as we have 2 more weeks until classes begin. Every day, we have students coming to the enrollment center and academic offices to process enrollment. And next week, we will have late registration and Saturday registration on August 23rd, and which is our final big push before classes start. And we're presently up 22%. Any questions?
No questions. It's great news. Thank you.
I just have a thought just came to me.
Yes, sir.
With our class schedule starting September 1st and the high schools or the other,
Our class schedule starts August 25th.
all right, August 25th, but some of the ISDs have already started class. How does that affect the dual enrollment people? Do they not start the dual enrollment classes until we start?
That's right. We have staff that go out to the ISDs and as early as July, because we have some ISDs that start in July. Dr. Rivera, would you like to address any more specifics?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we do have staff that will go out to places like London that have early starting dates, and they will work with the students up until the point that classes official start on the credit side on the 25th. So they're working with the students on various activities to get them primed and ready for the actual start of the 25th of August.
Okay, thank you.
And also this Saturday, we do have a special dual credit enrollment event where we're inviting dual credit students and parents to come to the CD to process any and finalize any enrollments that they may have. On this next slide, the third box is the highlights the continuing education enrollment. This enrollment represents the 2024 certified number versus today we are, is yet to be determined because enrollment is ongoing. Please keep in mind that the quarter 1 begins September 1. And so enrollment is currently ongoing, and we do anticipate more growth as the ISD personnel have already returned, and dual credit staff are going out to the ISDs, and enrollment is going to be going up for sure. The combined credit and continuing education headcount are trending upward. From this time last year, we are hopeful that this trend will continue as registration is ongoing. The 2024 number is a certified number, and we anticipate that it will be positive. Any questions?
I wanted to say great job. This is wonderful. It's a great problem to have, where we put everybody and who teaches them. Do we have any information on Freedom to Dream on what percentage are new high school graduates and what percentage are adult learners?
Allie and I were working on the dashboard this morning. I don't have the particulars today, but we can get you that information soon.
Okay. You got any idea?
Right now, I think, wasn't it like 60%? 60%.
Our recent high school,
yes,
and then 40% are adult. Wow.
Right,
That's
60%
okay.
are coming in with little to no hours.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Wait,
Wait. Okay. Yes.
Is that?
No, that's not exactly what I was asking.
Oh, right.
I meant how many are over 25, or how many are older than 25, or what percentage?
I'm going to say 40%, but I want to get back to you with an exact amount because we do have an exact total.
Okay.
Okay.
One other thing. What is, we're talking head count, but we're drastically expanding how many full-time students we have. So what's contact hours looking like signed up for?
Right now, as of yesterday, our contact hours are hitting 1.9 million.
As compared to 1.6.
As compared to 1.6.
For the entire last fall semester. The entire last fall semester was 1.6. We're at 1.9 right now to talk about production. That means the density of the courses that are being taken, and others, the amount of courses that are being taken, obviously being impacted by freedom to dream and others, other types of situations, BAS, OML, and others, where students are trying to finish faster. 1.9 already versus 1.6 for the entire last fall. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board of Regents, Dr. Escamilla. So now we're going to go over our revenue challenges and assumptions. For our state appropriations, we still have it based on the coordinating board's near final runs. As of yesterday, they still hadn't received or released those final runs. And so our state appropriations budget does take into account those methodology changes that we discussed at our budget workshop. That proposed methodology change did get officially adopted by the coordinating board in a special called meeting on August 7th. For our FAST appropriations, we are still increasing our budget to what we received for fiscal year 2024. For tuition and fees, we are not increasing our in-district tuition rate in order to comply with the governor's request. We did evaluate our enrollment levels and have not changed our tuition and fee budget since our last meeting. For property tax revenue, we have evaluated our overall tax rate. The net valuation decrease is a negative 0.15%. The property tax rates that we'll discuss shortly are 6.25% above the M&O no new revenue rate. So with the decrease in valuations, it actually pushed our M&O no new revenue rate over our current M&O rate. So, and then we still have that $593 million in new construction. Are there any questions before we move on?
Yes, sir. It would seem to me that the CPS acquisition of the power plants, that would probably account for that 0.15% reduction.
Yes, sir.
Or more.
Yes, that helped. That was part of the valuations decreasing. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So with that negative 0.15 valuation decrease and the $593 million in new construction and going to the 6.25% over the M&O no new revenue rate, we are proposing an overall tax rate of 0.75903. Which will increase our overall tax rate by 0.014163. So as you can see in the slide, our debt rate is decreasing and our M&O rate is increasing to support the operational needs of the college. So based on this information, the average taxable homestead value of $259,872, a homeowner could potentially pay around $717 a year in property taxes due to the college. We did add another line at the bottom and added those average homestead values for each of those years that we discussed at our last meeting. And as you can see, as those average home values tend to increase, so do those property tax rates or property taxes. Are there any questions on this slide?
No, I just want to comment that this kind of reinforces Regent Kroll's comment, because the value is flat for the homeowner, but the reason it's going up is because we lost $1 billion worth of value on non-residential. So that gets distributed amongst everybody else.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Okay, so for our preliminary revenue budget, we are reducing those state appropriations for our performance-based funding by $324,000, and that's due to that changes in those methodologies on our state funding. We're increasing this FAST appropriation. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, I meant to say something about that FAST. FAST is also state appropriations too. It's a different bucket, but we don't signify that. So for someone who may be watching that FAST money is also state appropriations.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's just separate from our performance-based funding. Yes, thank you. So yes, we're increasing that FAST appropriations by $528,000 to bring us up to what we received in fiscal year 2024. For our insurance contributions, our last meeting, I had an estimate there. I did receive our final numbers from the Higher Education Employees Group Insurance Contribution, otherwise known as HEDGE appropriations. That did increase, so I have increased to what they are proposing. So we're adding that $653,000, and that's to cover that 8% increase in our health insurance premiums. We are still increasing our tuition and fees by the $322,000 after a thorough analysis of our enrollment and the Freedom to Dream program that we discussed during our budget workshop. So with the certified values and going up the 6.25% above the M&O no new revenue rate, we are proposing an additional $6.3 million in property tax revenue. And then for our miscellaneous, we went back and we looked, yes, sir. Okay, sorry. So we went back and we looked at our investment income, and insurance rates have been up the last couple of years. So we did increase our investment income budget by $916,000. So with these changes, our total proposed revenue budget for fiscal year 2026 is $133.6 million, which is a 7% increase. Do we have any questions before we move on? Okay, so Ms. McDonald was not able to be here with us, so I'm going to cover the next couple of slides for her. So at our last meeting, we discussed salary and benefit increases of a 2%, a 3%, and a 4%. We've also been keeping an eye out on the community colleges across the state, and from what we're seeing, most of them are considering a 3% to 4% salary increase. So with the additional proposed revenue that we just talked about on the last slide, we have included a 3.5% increase, which is option 2 on this slide. And that we want to do that to stay ahead of the CPI and to nurture our faculty and staff to achieve their full potential. We value our faculty and staff and appreciate all the efforts put into not only launching the Freedom to Dream program, but also for providing our students with the support they need to achieve their dreams. So going to the 3.5% would give full-time faculty their 1-year experience pay at $829, and a 3.5% increase to schedules for rank, education, and base, along with their promotions included. In addition, the adjunct and overload schedules would also increase by 3.5%. Exempt employees, including those considered instructional, and full-time non-exempt employees would also receive the 3.5%. Core part-time non-exempt employees would also receive a 3.5% increase, but this would not include work study, student assistance, instructional, or grants, for those are based on particular program guidelines and market demand. So the estimated cost difference to go from a 3 to a 3.5% is $371,462. Are there any questions on this slide? Okay, so with the 3.5% salary increase, we are proposing a net increase of $1.2 million for faculty salaries. So this increase also includes additional funds for like chair stipends, faculty stipends for dual enrollment, critical needs stipends, as well as increases for adjunct faculty and other needs. For exempt, we are proposing a net increase of $2 million, which includes the 3.5% salary increase and additional positions to support various current and future college initiatives, such as increased support for dual enrollment, student recruitment, outreach, and student support services. For exempt instructional, we are proposing a net increase of $653,000, which includes the 3.5% increase and additional support for primarily the continuing education for programs such as our non-credit health programs. For non-exempt, we are proposing a net increase of $1.1 million, which includes that 3.5% salary increase And also for those positions that are, but that 3.5 is only for those positions that are eligible, that we discussed those guidelines on the slide before. And additional support for student services to assist our students in reaching their goals. For non-exempt instructional, we are proposing a decrease of $199,000, and that's just due to reallocation. We saw a higher need in the faculty salaries, so we shifted those funds to the faculty salaries category. For benefits, with the proposed increases in the salaries and then that 8% increase in our health insurance premiums, we are proposing an increase of $1.8 million. So with the proposed changes to the salaries, we are proposing an overall increase of $6.6 million in our salaries and benefits, which is an 8% increase. Are there any questions before we move to the non-salary?
I do. I have a question around increased enrollment, increased contact hours, and the vacancy variance, the vacancy decrease. So between your faculty, your exempt instruction, and your non-exempt instruction, I just want to understand capacity and the assumptions that go into these variances, because since most of what we spend our money on are instructional salaries, I want to make sure we understand those assumptions around increase in contact hours. And so I'm sorry Tammy's not here, but
that's okay.
No,
Let's talk about that's all right. So
we can handle that.
Yeah, I can explain. So the vacancy variance, what we do when we go to allocate that, we take a percentage of all of the salaries. But I also look at the 3 different categories: faculty, exempt, and non-exempt. And I look to see how many of those full-time positions are vacant at that particular point of time. So then we come up with a percentage and break down between those 3 different categories and then allocate that total vacancy variance to each of those categories based on those vacant positions. Did that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. And the numbers that we use for the thresholds, you talk a little bit about that, between the 10 and 13%.
So yes, so we look every month. I look at the full-time salaries and what's vacant. We have been running at 13% of our full-time positions have been vacant all year long, because you always have people coming and going. We never have them filled at all of them filled at one time. So currently we are at 10%. We're not at that full 13%, but we're at 10% right now.
And that's ups and downs. That's a mean number. That's not a static number necessarily. You can take a snapshot in time and say, okay, there's this many people, but next month it's going to be varied. But it's an averaged out number. Regent Loeb, can you hear? Oh, Regent Anantha stepped out. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So just to follow up with a follow-up question. So you're comfortable that we have capacity then within the existing instructors and our ability to add adjunct and that would be non-exempt salaries instructional or exempt salaries instructional? Where do our adjuncts fall?
Well, the adjuncts fall under faculty salaries.
Under faculty salaries.
Yes.
So that you're comfortable that we've got $300,000 right now increase in contact hours, that we can absorb that within our existing faculty numbers?
I think, if looking at this, they're saying that there's 15.2 students per class on average. That could go up to maybe 16 and absorb the 300,000 in contact hours.
But I wanted to hear them. Yeah, I just want to make sure that's.
And I mean, 16 people per class is a pretty reasonable number, really.
Yes.
All right.
So, hold on, I'm trying to juggle a couple of things. My team is sending me smoke signals as we're doing this, but with Regent Beverly out, I'll wait for him to come back. It's
all right, and Raul wants to jump in.
Yeah, so you're right on point, Regent Kroll, is that I think historically we've always said that we have the planes already filled up, they're up in the air, and we're just filling capacity. And so I think we're very comfortable with the analysis to come up with our estimated expenses. But at the same token, we do have that contingency that is out there, and we'll talk about that number. So if there's a need, based on board policy, we do have the option to use some of those resources. But I think we're comfortably well today. And so we should be okay with our estimates.
Yeah, the other thing too, what remains consistent about the Freedom of Dreamers is 60% of them are focused towards the transfer function, and there's where we have the biggest and the strongest numbers in terms of capacity. And so that has not changed. We were watching that very closely in our analysis. And we're always looking for great talent and so forth in the adjunct part-time pools for both all aspects of the curriculum. So we're always looking at it. In fact, I just got another one the other day myself. So we're constantly looking at that.
Just one more point. In terms of headcount capacity, we're experiencing a 20% growth, but we still haven't hit our peak yet from pre-pandemic levels, and so we haven't even adjusted our full-time staff since then. So I think we're okay for now. We're monitoring, we're watching it, but we should be okay. Again, we're 20% term over term growth, and we're on our way to hitting our peak enrollment pre-pandemic levels. We're not there yet, and so when we're getting closer, then we'll take a closer look.
I just want us to have a discussion about capacity within our faculty ranks and make sure that we're all on the same page and that left hand and right hand are all balancing out. Jonda.
I wanted to mention that class sizes, I know that Mr. Crewell brought up 15 or 16 in class, but many of our classes do have 24, 25, 30 plus. And some people do double lectures with like 60 in a class. So there are more than 15 in a class, and I want to make sure people are aware of that.
That's what that capacity is. It's much more.
Well, I mean, this number was an average number, so you may have 5 in a class.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Jackie on this slide, this expense slide? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so for non-salary. So non-salary, we are proposing a $1.5 million increase, and then for our contingency, $125,000, bringing our total proposed expense budget to $133,659,646, which is a 7% increase. So next, we'll discuss our proposed increases by the categories of our financial statements. And these categories, they really haven't changed since our last meeting. So for our non-salary, for our proposed expense budget, again, we are proposing an overall increase of $6.6 million for our salaries and benefits. For our non-salary, again, that $1.5 million. We are proposing an increase of $141,000 for equipment, which is mainly related to the upgraded computer labs. And again, we're keeping that $650,000 that we had this year in there so we can continue replacing that outdated equipment next year. The $285,000 for student recruiting is for increased target marketing using the new ERP and Element 451, along with the expanded recruitment for dual enrollment. The $379 for consultants and contract labor is for student success coaching model, dual enrollment recruitment, and an increased cost in existing contracts for services to maintain our campuses, such as our custodial services. The $75,000 for our special pop interpreter, that's due to an increased need for our students. The $580,000 for computers, software, and hardware, that is mainly for our SaaS upgrade, which is our ERP system, and additional increases in software costs. So, and then the $30,000 for travel and professional development is for increased professional development that supports our strategic goal of nurturing our faculty and staff to achieve their full potential. Are there any questions before we move on to the next slide? Okay, so it's not an election year, so we have reallocated that $175,000 to cover other needs of the college. For utilities and telephone, We are proposing an increase of $526,000, and that's for electricity, internet, and water due to higher usage and increased cost. Again, that $399,000 was for our insurance. Our premium actually decreased again this year, so we reallocated those funds. So with a few other small adjustments, our proposed non-salary increases are at $1.5 million, and with the $125,000 in our increased contingency, our total proposed expense budget is $133.6 million. Are there any questions? Okay. And Mr. Raoul is going to discuss our proposed debt service budget.
Okay, so the 2025-2026 debt service budget is projected to remain relatively flat on a year-over-year basis at $20.6 million. I want to also mention that the college anticipates a decline to the following year's 26-27 budget plan year to a new low of $16.8 million. This is primarily due to the maturity of the 2013 refunding bonds. Are there any questions to this slide? Okay. So that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
I have
yes.
an update on one of the questions that were asked over the enrollment. Let me see. Let's see. So, okay, so 206, this goes back to the number of 25-plus-year-olds out of the bunch. It's what I have right here is 267 are over 25 years old. And of the 1,400, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So far. That's a big number. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Did you want to tell them the other number?
I'm sorry?
Did you want to tell them the other number?
You go ahead.
1,273 students are 16 to 24, so I anticipate that some of those 16-year-olds are early high school grads.
16.
16 to 24.
These glasses are 16 years old. Good Lord.
Not so sure about that.
They're cheap.
All right, so
Pretty good that the glasses made it that long. You're not aging too fast.
So everything that you'll see in the action items this afternoon is based on the numbers that they showed us. And when we come back for final adoption in 2 weeks, there might be some tweaking to these numbers, but the tax rate proposal and everything else is based on this budget that we just saw. So
There's an opportunity to go down. We will not go up. We cannot go up.
We cannot go up. By legislative statute, we cannot go up on
From
these
these
rates.
numbers. These are the
Yes,
numbers
we
that
can
will be
only go
posted.
down.
And we will go back and put even a finer point to the pencil. That's what we've been doing day by day by day. So you have this move to sharpen the pencil and move things, tighten up here and tighten up there. At the same time, we have the pressures of these enrollments and so forth coming in day by day by day. So it truly is going to be a day-to-day endeavor.
All right. So our next staff report is a proposal to create a combined fund. Do you have some introductory remarks on this topic, Mr. Dr. Escamilla?
I do. And this proposal came rather quickly, and it really came because of it's course correcting some history and other opportunities for the college as we move ahead. On certain years, not all years, but certainly in the past few years, we've been fortunate to carry over an amount of money from the previous budget of funds that were not spent and so forth, in addition to our contingency funds and the like. After COVID, when COVID hit, we had no idea that the HERF funds were going to come and so forth and the like. And so we created a pot of money that as we swept accounts, because we were just literally holding on for dear life and trying to, get through all of that. And as such, we created swept some accounts and created what we called a risk reserve fund, just for the lack of a better term at the time. We also had, and have had for years, and really have developed over the last, I can't recall, and if anybody can recall the last time when we tweaked or adjusted the plant fund, it has to be well over a decade ago. It's got to be 15 or so years before we actually changed that. Well, so what we're doing here today is what we're proposing is combining, getting out of the post-COVID era in more ways than one, not just enrollment, right? We want all of that behind us. And we're proposing doing is combining those two funds for opportunities to really develop and advance our educational opportunities. They're still going to be proposed. I'll let Raul get into the details about how we bring that fund to you all and so forth. But the idea is to combine those funds and use on a year-to-year basis use them for planning purposes that are necessary, both in the coming year and in some cases to catch up with the previous year. We want maximum flexibility for this, but relatively speaking, it's essentially the same rules of engagement, if you will, from the plant fund. It's just a different term. It's a term that is really about the spirit with which we bring education to our community. And I'm going to ask Mr. Garcia to kind of outline our proposal for your consideration.
Great. Thank you very much. So I think I may have mentioned this before. So the college has experienced a heightened level of uncertainty during this year's budget planning process, due in part to the shift in our operating environment. The college is now considering bringing to the board a recommendation to combine the risk and the plant funds into, for right now, the Innovation Fund. The Innovation Fund embodies the principles of resilience, agility, and strategic alignment, providing the college with the financial resources for long-term sustainability. With this in mind, the Risk Fund and the Plant Fund have historically provided the college the financial resilience and flexibility necessary for supporting long-term financial planning. In response to ongoing changes, the college is now considering consolidating these two, and the proposed fund will ensure that Del Mar College is well positioned to respond to emerging challenges and opportunities. With respect to the Risk Fund, it was originally established to strengthen the college's financial resilience in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and related economic recession. The fund was intended to provide financial stability during a period of heightened uncertainty, addressing potential declines in tuition and fee revenue due to reduced student enrollment, as well as increased costs associated with implementing health and safety protocols. At the July 14, 2020 board meeting, the college leadership presented the proposal for the Risk Fund, which was met with strong support by the board. As a result, policy revisions were introduced at the subsequent August 11, 2020 board meeting, and the fiscal year 2020 budget surplus. 2020 budget surplus was used to establish the fund, valued at $8 million. Fast forward today, the college successfully navigated through the college financial challenges brought on by the pandemic without utilizing this Risk Fund. The outcome was made possible through the financial discipline and substantial federal assistance received through the Higher Education Relief Fund, also known as HERF. My last point is that the new fund will be reported under the general category of the Plant Fund in our award-winning annual comprehensive financial report. So with this said, I think the next step would be, again, under the advisement of the board as well, is to come up with an action item, I believe, sometime in the next board meeting in the near future, and then with revisions to the board policy to change the name and the use of these financial resources. Are there any questions, concerns? Yes, sir.
Well, this presentation in the slide delves into the Risk Fund very well. But my question is what is the Plant Fund and what was its purpose? and how much money is in the plant fund?
Okay. So I've been here 7 years. I've known that it's been there for a while. I don't know what the rationale behind its original intent, but I can tell you we've used the plant fund to fund deferred maintenance, emergency deferred projects, as well as software and some software upgrades. And so we feel that, and the value today is probably close to $0 today. And so,
there are funds in there, they're just expended, they're dedicated.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you are absolutely right. We do have some dollars in there. I don't recall the balance, but we know they already been committed through some kind of purchase order. So, Jackie, do we know what the value, or Kathy? How much? About 800,000 is there today. So you add the 8 million, we will have a combined total of $8.8 million.
It's really about the function. Well, first of all, to answer the question, so and that number is fluctuated and varied. Trying to mix my words here, and varied over the years. Again, the proposal today is really about the function of those two pots of dollars. That separating them was particularly the what we called a risk reserve fund. It was just a bucket to hold these carryover dollars, these COVID dollars, if you will. They were operational dollars, but because there was such a stagnation of activity for that particular semester, especially spring when everything hit, we were able to sweep those dollars over and put them in a bucket. And then that term began to take on its own, its own life of sorts. Again, today's purpose for proposal is to propose to y'all to mix or to eliminate one, move out of that post-COVID era and operate with the plant fund. The plant will always remain the plant fund. We talked about that also. That is a technical term, an accounting term, and so forth. But we were looking to, because of its function, use a term that is more that identifies really the purpose of where we're going with those dollars in a better way.
Yeah, if I would also add that strategically it makes sense is just to create these resource of dollars just to provide agility to pivot at any point in time. I mean, it could be some new strategic initiative that may need some special funding. We just don't know. But in light of what's happening today, we just need to be nimble, and I think this set of funds will allow us to do that moving forward, just given the circumstances that we are facing today.
To answer your question, Mr. Kroll?
Pretty much.
Okay.
You can call me if you have any further questions, Mr. Kroll. I'll be glad to help you.
When we bring this
And
back...
I apologize for bringing this up because I didn't get a chance to look at this.
That's okay.
Well, the idea was, let me just add, the idea was to bring up the concept and get the questions so that we could prepare for we want to take 2 bites at this apple. And that's what we're preparing for. So that's why we're not taking that extensive and more detailed dive into it. We wanted to hear what in a staff report, what your concepts, thoughts, concerns, ideas were, so we can, again, put that fine point to the pencil and prepare the presentation accordingly for the next meeting.
Well, I think this is probably a good move, but at the same time, I would not want to dilute the plant funds from any maintenance and deferred maintenance issues that need to be addressed.
Noted.
Yep. Understood. We will expand upon that.
The question I have is around timing. What is there a fiscal year timing or a calendar year timing, or we could do this whenever we wanted? Is there an issue with timing?
I haven't really talked that length with Mark on that topic, but I know we want to make some changes. What top of mind for me is the body of work that's needed to rebuild the board policy, making those changes, going it through thoroughly, and really think this out properly, and putting those thoughts together. I don't know if it's doable by the next board meeting, but hopefully in the next couple of months, I would think something reasonable.
I stand corrected and so forth. So yeah, taking the necessary time to roll this out. It just depended on the feedback. What I should have said was as soon as the next board meeting. Probably not, is what it sounds like. So to answer your question, what is the importance of the timing? It's really just moving into this next year and preparing, and really what that does is helps us all rethink. Again, the term plant fund will not go away, its function per se, and it doesn't just mean physical plant, and that's part of the misnomer of this whole thing, because equipment and all these other things can be purchased for with it. All kinds of things can, actually. But that being said, we will refine our thoughts and look back at and include some policies that exist and put some new proposals for y'all.
So I think the next time that we talk about this, to understand what our current funds are, and I know we have the contingency fund, the unrestricted fund balance, which is our kind of board policy required contingency, and then we have these other discretionary contingency funds. And so what was the purpose? What were the original constraints around the use of those funds? And then what is your proposed purpose and policy guidance for the new fund? And then, so give us something to react to that but also a bit of a history lesson so that we understand the original purpose and function. And obviously, because these are discretionary funds for the college, the board has the responsibility and authority to change those, but we want to do it thoughtfully and with intention. Yeah.
Duly noted. And please call me again. Think of other things, Mr. Crowell. Always glad to answer, because there's still some thoughts going to us. We just wanted to get this out there and take this very valuable time to get some initial feedback, and it's really important.
Does anybody else have any feedback on the idea? No. Yes, Mr. Loeb?
I just say if anybody has ideas for how to spend it where it saves operational costs, that's the first thing to put money in, whether it's technology, whether it's maintenance, capital, whatever.
Again, it's a lot of it's naming and that I think is more philosophically positioning those dollars more philosophically towards where we're going as a college. We got some good feedback from this one.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks, Mr. President.
All right. Next, something the board has been asking about for a bit, and we're happy to have Mr. Strybos give us a facilities master plan update. Hello, Mr. Lowe. Good to see you again.
I'm going to turn this over to Doug Lowe with facility programming. They know more about us than we do, and the floor is yours.
That was fast, John. Man, you just...
Well, you know, Mr. Lowe, we have some of the reasons. We do have some answers to some of your questions. We have the core presentation, which was published to the public, and then we've got a separate supplemental presentation. So when some questions come up, we may toggle back and forth some of those as well.
Thank you.
But I'm going to stand here next to him as co-pilot.
Madam Chair, Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Doug Lowe, and along with Molly Kondari, we represent facility programming and consulting. And programming is one of those words that means different things depending on which industry you're in. And when you're talking about the facilities related to a campus or a college master plan, it simply means figuring out what you ought to be doing before you try to do something. It's what I like to call writing the recipe for the facilities of your future. And we, facility programming, we are expert at this. We do this for colleges around the state and the nation and internationally as well. And we are very excited about your future. And I hope for that after a few minutes of listening to me talk, you will share that excitement. Several months ago, President Escamilla asked me to help him answer a question about what would be the needs for the future students coming to Del Mar, and how would that translate into ultimately a campus master plan. And so that's what we're here to talk about. And we have already presented these findings to the executive team, to the cabinet, and now we're here to talk, to present them to you and to not ask for decisions, but to get your guidance and direction. It is a summary that you're seeing today. There's an awful lot of data sort of below the waterline using an iceberg mentality. You're just seeing what peaks above the top. We have several findings. We have some questions and hypotheses that will affect the future and some possible actions. So these 6 bullets came across loud and clear as we were talking to people. This is a time not to just do what you've been doing, but it's a time to be transformational and nimble, to offer mobility to your students, to become a destination, and to be innovative and responsive in the curriculum, and to be relevant to your students and to the community. So there were 3 things that provided a foundation for the data. They had to do with space and technology and relevance. With regards to space, one of the things that is very obvious is that your workforce programs are essentially at capacity. That campus is, it's bursting, if you will, in terms of opportunities. Space across all of your facilities needs to be thought of as flexible teaching environments that can be easily converted. Gone are the days of purpose-built rooms that can't be used more than just a few hours a week. And then the third thing having to do with space is how does space relate to technology and online learning? The future of technology-based education is going to be immersing that online learner in the classroom every bit as much as if the person sitting in a seat. That ties into the second bullet, which has to do with technology and how to be able to scale and understand the use of technology, which classrooms that you currently have that are the best candidates to become these immersive learning environments, and then to think more about student engagement. When I went to college, learning was much different than it is today. And students, and they expect technology to be a part of their college experience. Which brings us to relevance. And how can you do things, how can you provide an educational background that is relevant to the employers and industry partners? How can you be relevant to the future students, faculty, and to the local ISDs, because they're providing the pipeline for you. So let's jump into some of the data.
If I might interrupt you, just go back to that slide for just a second.
If I can back up, let's see.
And I know that you have talked with Lenora and Leonard Rivera and others. Del Mar College was invited to attend a session put on by the Corpus Christi Army Depot and joint work from Department of Defense, Department of Commerce, and Department of Labor around robotics and automation and AI and how it's changing the work at CCAD. And of course, it's changing the work. So I'd like you to just make sure that you're touching base with Lenora and Leonard on that topic, because one of their key findings was, or one of their key backbones is the connection with community colleges nationwide, knowing that we are training their workforce. And so the expectations of the Army's change in how they're doing business in an advanced robotics and AI scenario plays exactly into what we're doing here. So make sure that Leonard and Lenore connect you with that work.
Definitely, and you have obviously been reading ahead, because that's something that I want to talk about as we go forward, and
Madam
that's part
Chair,
of that excitement.
I have a point. Same thing, on the same lines. I'd like you to be in touch with the Texas AI Association, which is recently about 1 year old now, but they are doing some cutting edge workforce training and conceptual ways of incorporating AI into higher education and workforce training. So they have some visionary plans too, so you may like to just be aware of their research, and they're putting out some reports occasionally, and So I'd like you to be aware of Texas AI Association.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay? They have a website too, yeah.
All right. Some of the data, and this is where I get to tell you what you already know, but perhaps you haven't seen it quite in this sort of an illustration. You are facing, you are living with an aging population of limited growth. There is growth in certain areas, however. And what I think is huge and can't be overstated is the importance of significant capital investment. I mean, you guys know what's happening here. You see it every day. And the port is just one example of the impact of the future. This graphic that you're looking at represents the population in the 18 to 64-year-old cohort in 2024. And the darker the color are the zip codes that have more population. So, you know, it's what you already know, where the growth is happening. This is projected future population increase in that same age cohort. Again, the darker, in this case, represents the growth over the coming decade by zip code. And of course, the counties out to the west and south represent, you know, over toward Laredo and down toward the valley. But you can see where the growth is projected in this region. This is a summary of the sort of the population demographic. You have an aging population, and the pie or the donut on the left represents the age groups, and you can see them by color. And then on the right-hand side, there is the total population back from 2020, and then looking forward 10 years, and then the age 18 to 64, looking back to 2020 and forward. Pretty stable, not much growth in population.
So what is the definition of the service area market?
It is your service area.
4.5 counties.
The what?
Service area for Del Mar College is Nueces, San Patricio, Aransas, Kennedy, and half of Clayburgh counties.
Okay.
That's the service area. Our tax base is the municipality, contrasting the municipality of Corpus Christi.
Well,
the outline
quick answer
represents this.
As I discussed with John, I'm on the regional water planning group, and of course, in our discussions about water supply and water demands, our consultant got some data from the Texas Demographer's Office, and it pretty much aligns with this, that the growth in this area, of course, the regional water planning group is 11 counties, and but they basically said the outlying counties are going to be declining in population, and Nueces and San Patricio County would see some slight increases.
Okay.
So you might want to, they didn't break the data down by age group because we didn't really need that, but you might get with the demographer's office for some additional.
Yeah, yes, we got that slide from your, we can, it's on the other presentation.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We also looked at building utilization in addition to demography. And the big picture takeaways is you have excess capacity at Heritage and Oso Creek. Although this is not unusual, particularly for Oso Creek, all new campuses need time to sort of grow into themselves and to mature. And the other big takeaway is that the specialized nature of what you're doing at Windward limits the ability to use those rooms matching up with some utilization metrics. There are just so many times that you can teach courses of the kind of workforce that you're teaching at Windward. The good news to this story is that you have, even though you have excess capacity, you have the ability to teach more students. You are not up to here in your space utilization, so anything that the board chooses to do, you have room to experiment and to move forward. Here are some illustrations of that utilization. These represent
percent utilized up the left-hand or y-axis and the teaching day across the x-axis for the 3 campuses. The colored lines are the 7 days of the week. And you can see from these graphs that there are only a few times where utilization on the campuses increases beyond 50%. Now, that means that there's a good opportunity to put your buildings to work harder, to do more with what you can. This is the same graphic for class labs. The first was for classrooms. Laboratories are defined as, things other than classrooms where you're teaching specialized space. And a few peaks, particularly at Oso Creek, but for the most part, excess capacity. We looked at enrollment projections, and that we think there's going to be limited growth over the next 10 years if you just leave things as they are. But I think there's an opportunity to take some aggressive steps, to do more to drive up enrollment. And I think those 3 are driven by increase your market share for academic students and to capitalize on that industrial growth that we talked about earlier for workforce training, and then leverage freedom to dream. I think you are in a great spot. And I'm going to tell a story about being in a great spot. Some years ago, Blinn College found themselves sitting next to Texas A&M, who had a need for some assistance in teaching core curriculum to their incoming freshmen and sophomores. And Blinn jumped on that. And now they own the market in terms of transfer students for community colleges to 4-year. Nobody can come close to what they transfer. I think that you have an opportunity with the growing industrial base in your region to do the same sort of thing for the industrial market and to serve that workforce cohort or those students. But we'll get into that in a bit. Here are the enrollment projections. The top line is total. In the gray band to the left is historic, and then from 2024 moving forward. Online, then the 3 campuses. So we think that enrollment is going to be pretty flat. And we didn't just do an arithmetic or statistical projection. We looked at several different scenarios, including looking at the high school graduation rates, because again, they are your, a pipeline for your future students. So if you don't do something, your enrollment is likely to be what it is now. And this brings up that opportunity. You have a split or bifurcated mission. On one hand, you're teaching general academics, general education, core curriculum, and you're teaching in that same group your fine arts, your stellar programs and music. And the other side of the coin is the workforce and what you can do and how you can do it, and in a lot of different areas. Now, here is something that I don't mean to insult you. You are my client after all. But I don't think the status quo is good enough. I think Del Mar looks an awful lot like a lot of other community colleges around Texas and around the country. And this is why I want to encourage you to think that you do have an opportunity to do better, to do more, to serve your community, to be relevant. I think the first thing that you can think about doing as you move forward is to create a destination for your students and your faculty and staff as well. You do that through the built environment, which is an architectural term meaning the buildings and the space between the buildings. You do it through your academic offerings, through extracurricular activities, amenities, and a sense of community on the campus. You remove barriers. There shouldn't be any reason why a student who wants to come to Del Mar can't come. And make it easy. We heard earlier this afternoon about the culture, the Viking way, and Dr. Villarreal talked about making it easy for your students, enhancing the partnerships that you have, and then continuing with targeted and thoughtful improvements, like the library is a perfect example, how architecturally that building went through a metamorphosis. No study would be complete without an understanding of who you're competing against And yes, colleges do have competitors. In the academic side, it's the A&M components. And on the workforce side, it's TEACS, who are already downtown, TSTC, who is in the workforce business, even though they're not here yet, and all the companies that tend to do a lot of internal training and programs. If you look at how your distance learning is, or how you are teaching by campus and by distance learning, this pie chart represents that. Online in the red is the largest slice of the pie, and then Heritage, Windward, and Oso Creek off to the right. And I apologize that some of the graphics didn't translate on the when they came across. I think that you should take advantage of that red slice, and that you should, as I mentioned, create online experiences that are interactive and participatory and immersive. As you talked about using AI for in education, think about what that can be like. And the most basic and the most proven one is nursing simulation. You go into a sim lab in a nursing classroom or a nursing environment, there's a lot of technology in play. Not so much when you look at other courses, and there's really no reason why that can't translate across. And then to create team-based learning environments that incorporate that technology, because particularly in workforce, but also in regular transfer education, employers today are looking for students who are not only skilled in their discipline, but can work together, can hit the job running, if so to speak, and can work on teams. Campus life is another thing to incorporate into a master plan. Create places that feel like a small four-year college campus. Now, we all have memories of where we went to school, and there are some campuses are nicer than others. I talked about Blinn. On their Brenham campus, they get it. Their Brenham campus it does feel like a small four-year school. So I think they're one that you can think about. Make your campuses more welcome and inviting. Emphasize traditions and student success, extracurricular activities. They build a sense of belonging. They make your students want to be on campus. Food, it's always a win. Consider ways that you can get more food to the students. Housing is something to consider as you move forward. And of course, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi should be like turning the switch on or turning the faucet on. So here are the questions for your future. Why aren't all the local students who are coming to college coming here? And what steps can you take to make Del Mar the first choice, the destination? This is where we want to go, so that all the competitors are playing catch up. So what would it take to increase your market share? Well, you're doing the right thing with freedom to dream. You can't beat free. Make sure that you're teaching real world opportunities. Hunt where the ducks are. Make sure that the students can get jobs based on what they're learning at Del Mar. Make your campus and the registration and matriculation and advising and counseling, make it student-centered. You're here to serve your students. And transform your campuses into places where they want to be. Make it easy for students to choose Del Mar. And I'm sorry that sounds a little like a soapbox, but it's true. You have this opportunity. Another thing that came up was, how do you make the spaces at Oso Creek a little more highly utilized? I mentioned you need time to grow in, but that doesn't mean you can't use the space a little better than you are now. Maybe a few different course offerings on that campus would create more students, more kids in seats. And then if you increase market share, you have the capacity on that campus to take in more students. So the next question is, what will make you best in class compared to your peers and the other locals? Are the right courses being taught on the right campuses? And what is a hypothesis to reach the Del Mar student of the future? I love this picture, this hologram. you can look at this a lot of different ways. You can look at it and it implies the transfer student who's going into mechanical engineering at UT or A&M. But it can also be the workforce student who's going to interact with the engineers on the factory floor or at the plant when they're responsible for repairing something. So technology is coming, and it's part of education, as we've talked about. So here's my hypothesis. Create that robust campus life. Make the students want to come to Del Mar. Accommodate the needs of your students, kind of like no excuses to fail. And then create this technology-infused learning environment, like the hologram shows, that is just what the students want. So let's start with your environment. And I talked about the library earlier. You made a few targeted improvements on the library, and I think it's great. Become the most attractive place on campus for students. Be the #1 choice. And then create that college environment. Tyler is one of the bullets, Tyler Junior College. Another example of small college that when you walk on that campus, you feel like you're on a campus, you're at a college. Now, you don't have the pine trees, I understand that. But that doesn't mean, it's not just about pine trees. It's about, they do a very good job of creating a campus-like environment.
I used to be provost there. I was allergic to every one of those trees.
And you're in the right spot. Just a few pictures to help you understand what I'm talking about. And just imagine how you would feel or how students would feel in some of these places. It's not only about the buildings, it's about the places between the buildings. It's about the learning environments in the individual classrooms and laboratories and communal spaces on campus.
That bottom automotive, that was Tyler Junior College, wasn't it? I built that when I was there with Jeff Parks. We built that. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Well, here's another automotive center. This one's in Arizona. This is Pima Community College in Tucson. Pretty inspiring space for a kid that wants to get into automotive. Robotics on the left. So. Okay, so some possible actions for you. And this is where I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to give you some eye-opening opportunities that, well, I hadn't thought about it quite like this before. Obviously, teach general education at all your campuses. You don't want to put any roadblocks up for anybody. Don't make them go to 2 campuses to get their degree or their certificate unless that's their plan. So with that as a given, what would happen if you were to treat Heritage as the home for targeted academic programs like music and fine arts, like you do now, but give it that identity, hang a label on it. Use Oso Creek as your campus that focuses on general education and transfer and the kind of core curriculum. And then reimagine Windward as a best-in-class workforce destination. It's already a workforce campus, but it could go a little bit farther to be best in class. So if you have that very simple message to your students and to the community, this is the purpose for why you have 3 campuses. And they all sort of interrelate and are connected at the hip. So make Heritage your flagship. It is already, but just wave that flag. Let it be what it is. And focus on those special programs. And let it become also the destination for the non-transfer academic student. So it gives it an additional purpose. But that frees up Oso Creek to take on the transfer students as a way to increase utilization and to put those spaces to work a little bit harder. Perhaps for the short term, you move EMT and paramedics and criminal justice to Oso Creek to free up some much needed space at Windward. And of course, you keep culinary and architecture at Oso. So even though it's your transfer student campus, it's also carrying a little bit of the baggage or a little bit of the load when it comes to workforce. And And then Windward. That's the big opportunity here, the big ticket. You can dominate the market for workforce education for the kind of industrial environment that you are living in, the port and everything that it has brought and is bringing. And I use the word dominate on purpose because I think you can own this. You can do for workforce what Blinn has done for transfer education. And while you have spaces there, I don't think too many of them are dramatic or experiential or immersive or inspiring or really a magnet. Kids come there because that's where you offer the courses. If you can think about Windward being your crown jewel, people from all over the state and the nation will come and they will look at what you have done in the marketplace that you are in, incorporating technology, creating the kind of workforce that you need or workplaces that you need. And it doesn't all have to be on that campus. You can build partnerships or expand partnerships that you have where you're exporting that sort of environment or that learning and those results to the corporate or the industrial sites. If they want to teach on their campus, you're teaching on their campus, but you're bringing with you your successes from Windward. That's you become the partner of choice, that it's obvious. They want to seek you out because you're doing such a good job. And maybe add some more resources for high school students. Maybe not an early college, high school there, but I bet there are an awful lot of kids who are growing up as young teens in your market who see the industrial base and aren't really sure how they get to be a part of that. And if you can make that pipeline a little bit easier for them, or that pathway a little bit easier, I think that would be a really good thing. There's some other things to include in the master plan. Talked about deferred maintenance quite a bit. You have to do it, just like changing the oil in your car. You don't want to, but if you don't, you get into a lot of hurt. The capital improvement plan, talk about different funding methods. Perhaps consider student housing on a limited scale if you want to try. It's been, some other places do it. And then what about uses of individual pieces of property? Which brings me to the next steps, which is always getting close to the end. I hope the board will provide some feedback either today or in the future on sort of where we're going with this and what the data are telling us. And then divide specific scenarios for how do we actually make this happen? How do we walk the walk and create the destinations that we talked about at Heritage and Oso Creek and to create that really best-in-class campus at Windward. And if that's not enough, we also have a lot of data. I can bore you to tears for the rest of the afternoon, but this was touching on it.
Question, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, I've got a question. What role do you see for college sports or intramural sports as far as building the campus life that you were talking about?
Oh, I think it's huge. They're expensive. They require programming, defining that word separately. You have to actually create the activities. But did you go to a campus that had intramurals or rec sports or
that little university?
University of Texas.
They have some.
Yes.
It's a way to. It does two things. It grounds the student, whether they're living on campus or not. It gives them something to do, to look forward to, to identify with Del Mar, and it provides, I think, a route to student success. It's been proven that if you join clubs and other activities on campus, you belong, you do better. I can't see a reason not to.
Except for the money. Okay.
Well, it's not free, obviously.
Yes.
But
Regent Loeb and then Regent Babley.
So, I mean, I just wanted to say, I think on some of this, we need to look at our off-site facilities as well. You know, do we already have a relationship with a high school that has welding bays? You know, can we borrow those welding bays or rent them from them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when they're all have gone home? You know, can we put our signs out in front of the high schools where we do dual credit just to create an awareness and a space? And, you know, I like the idea of housing. You know, I think it's going to be interesting, I think, this fall to see how the new students and the increased enrollment makes our campuses feel. Since COVID, they felt kind of empty a lot. And so I think housing's a really good opportunity for us to work on, because it's hard to create a culture if there aren't people there, and if people are living there, then it's a much easier base to create a culture and organically grow how people are relating to the space and a campus culture. You know, it's very hard. I mean, I noticed that there were lots of really good looking pictures where there weren't anybody in them, you know. Yeah. And if we have people who are there, we can ask them what they want and give it to them. You know, I've heard the food truck idea. I think that's a good place to start too, because if it doesn't work, they can drive away. Yep. And nobody spent any money. And so, you know, and if the food's bad, customers will tell them that. If it's great, then they'll tell them that too, and they'll stay. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities here. I think the idea of, you know, looking at the West Campus and or Windward and doing early college high school there. We kind of have an early college high school that is across the street because of a state law that it had to be across the street. But I mean, I think if there's classroom space there that we can use to host that, you know, I think that's a great idea as well. So, no, I really appreciate this. Nobody likes to work Friday, I guess, or teach class on Friday. And I was kind of surprised also that at Windward there wasn't more Saturday class. So I kind of be interested to know if some of our workforce programs could expand to Saturdays and whether there was demand for that. You know, if
I think there's a couple of comments out there.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, we typically are running weekend NCCER classes every weekend. We've been doing it for 2 years.
And those are filling up?
Every weekend.
Okay,
Davis?
so I mean, that may be an opportunity at Windward as other programs that could run on Saturdays
And
too.
a lot of that is we have programs with 3 shifts. There are multiple shifts that are working throughout the day. So, you know, what we squeeze into the M through F is based on shifts. I mean, so for instance, I mean, we got programs there from 7 in the morning to 11 at night.
Yeah.
And so 3 different. So it's all relative, and there are, and we do have to rest the team too. However, duly noted. Keep going, because I wanted to make a comment.
Well, and I mean, I would say the last thing is, you know, if we have individual programs that have outgrown their space, their workshop space, you know, I think we need to see a specific list and look at utilization on those specifically. Maybe you guys, I know I asked you guys about that before, and maybe you've got it in the second presentation so far, but you know, that's the sort of stuff I think we're really interested in, because I think we can go to the community and ask them for stuff like that pretty easily, where, you know, hey, we could teach more people, but we are limited in how many people we can teach because this program is successful enough, we outstrip the space.
And maximize what we have. So I just want everyone to know that, you know, Doug, we've been working with Doug since 2014, sooner than that probably. I think it was actually earlier than that, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Doug is baselining information prior to all the things that we've been talking about in preparation for this fall. So that's good. Doug is basically has covers over his eyes, and he's going in and baselining information about space utilization and all these other things. Now, he has touched on Freedom to Dream and a few other things. It's not just Freedom to Dream, but it's general enrollment as well that we're experiencing change in, positive change. And so I just want everyone to know that it's kind of we're waiting for this fall enrollment to open up with doing things differently, vastly different than anything we've ever done. And we're going to intersect, and I dare to say that this presentation will begin to feel different, look different, resonate differently with us. Because the things that are happening at Oso Creek that we can't talk about right now are going to show some really, really interesting enrollment trends starting this fall, going into the entire this coming academic year, and especially next fall. So there are things, but what I like about what Doug is saying is it is what it is. It's what he's hearing as he's going around and doing the programming work. So I just want everyone to know. I know what y'all are thinking. The team is, I can see everybody's eyes, and I know you all's eyes and so forth. It's like, well, does Doug know about this and that? He may or may not, because a lot of the things that we've been working on this past year haven't been fully implemented. So we want this baseline. We want this baseline. And so I just had to state that, because I'm reading y'all's faces out there, and I can tell what y'all are thinking. Plus, I'm getting texts for proof. That's really how I can tell.
One more, Mr. Loeb?
I have one more question. I have a branding question.
Yes.
Branding question. Our college president, every once in a while, I'll see him fiddling with a thing that says Del Mar Tech. Is that a better name for Windward than Del Mar Windward Campus?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
that was the original.
Because you were making a comment about specializing,
right?
And I mean, that's the point. Is we have these really cool names, but they don't say anything about what those campuses do or what they're for.
Yeah.
Let me turn that question on its head, and let's say that the master plan, as much as anything else, should be about messaging and getting the word out. Del Mar Tech might be a good name for it, but if you can create in your community and your partners' minds that you have accepted the responsibility of being this best-in-class place, and just and then get some quick wins out there. The medical profession, the hospital industry does a great job of it. They'll oftentimes announce a new cancer wing. And what they've done is they've repurposed 10 old bedrooms and knocked a few doors down and then called it a new something. So go for those quick victories. Get out there and tell everybody a consistent message that this is what we're doing. We see the future. We know our role in it. And follow us.
We have Regents who have questions.
Very quickly, I had to double check the item on the agenda. Is this marketing plan or is this? But really, I think you have given us, given me at least, lots of food for thought, because you are projecting things. I mean, how things can be done better or filled up better through a facilities perspective. But this is a macro view, a bird's eye view of what the potential for Del Mar College is for the future. And you have linked the industry, the port, and specific uses of these 3 campuses. And so I thought you were presenting an agenda for a retreat to the board, because these are worth of, I think, extended reflection on our part to pursue each item that he has talked about, and maybe, and include sports, athletics, like Bill was saying. I mean, there are a lot of things, and nursing you mentioned. I mean, this is what ACCT at the national and international level have been discussing. What's the potential of Del Mar College to offer internationalization of nursing program, So for these, you need this kind of a ground up view of facilities or potential, what we can do for the future. So I think, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate that.
Well, I apologize for being energetic. As an architect, may I make fun of my profession and tell you that your master plan should not be about architecture and buildings. It should be about the things we talked about. I mean, yes, you'll need facilities, but don't lead with that. Lead with what you want Del Mar College to be and how are you going to respond to the kids in the future, and then wrap the architecture around it.
Mr. Krull has questions?
Well, not questions, but comments more. And I think a couple of the things that we don't do or haven't done well is advertise our facilities. You drive by the Windward campus, and if you're not familiar with what's there, you have no clue. There's no signage that says this is where we do welding and where we do EMT training and all of that, which to me, if we had some signage out there that says, this is what goes on here, you'd attract more people. Because if I drove my wife, we've lived here for 50 years. We drove down there, and my wife said, "What is that?"
This is on our list. We're working with college relations to come up with signage plans for all the campuses.
And then I think your point to the Windward campus being pretty full, there are some opportunities there. I mean, we just have partnered with the police department for a police training facility out at the Oso Creek campus, and maybe moving some functions that align with that out to the Oso Creek campus to have some synergies with the city.
Yes, sir.
In terms of public safety. I mean, even to the point maybe moving some of the fire training out there.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? I have a question related to the market summary. I guess it was page 7. You give us a pretty broad range of population suggestion or population projections in the 18 to 64-year-old group. And I've been curious for a while. One, I'd want that broken down, and there's something in that maybe 15 or 16 to 45-year-old range group that are really target for education or training. Once you get much past, I'm not saying that the individuals past 45 aren't interested in retraining or other educational opportunities, but I think our core group is probably within that little bit lower age group. And I'm curious, and I've not ever heard a good answer around the unschooled, for lack of a better word, or undereducated individuals in that range. For years, there's been a conversation in this region about folks that stop at high school and don't go any farther, that they may or may not have had any sort of technical training at the high school level, but they leave and try to go straight to work. And so I've always been curious as to what is our market potential in some of those bigger buckets. We certainly know that we have a bucket of dual credit, dual enrollment students who we are working to get them to continue through their associate's degree at Del Mar. We're doing this big Freedom to Dream initiative to bring people back. But what is our market potential there? Because that has a lot to do with our future facilities planning if we think about what does the next 20 to 40 years look like in terms of demographic projections in those core groups of folks who are traditionally undereducated. Do you have a sense of that? That's a big topic. But
it is a big topic, and I talked about increasing market share, and what I think you're talking about is just increasing the size of the market. There is a huge bucket of students out there who don't think they belong at a college campus, and that you can reach them. It goes along with making it easy to succeed. If you put someone in an uncomfortable position of trying to register for college when they don't really understand what they're doing and don't think they belong there anyway, and then at the first hiccup, they say I was right and I'm out of here. We all painted that scenario. And it's our own fault. We set these systems up essentially for the college. It's an organizational issue as opposed to thinking about it from the student's perspective. So,
But
yes,
is there a
anything we
way
can
to
do.
define the number and describe that group of potential students that we could then go market to, create program, bring them into programs? How do we define and describe that potential group of potential students?
Let me work on that.
Yeah, and to put descriptors on them is a whole other, I think through analytics and so forth, we can do that. And what I mean by that is gathering data, percentages from other schools and so forth. But let me just take that question.
I think that the
Go ahead.
CRM's doing that for us right now. The CRM, our new CRM, which was just really implemented, and you see the results in enrollment right now as to what they've been able to do in just the last few months. And I think that CRM going forward is going to specifically do that for us. It's going to define that group, and it's going to do it through social media and all the things that Jeff can better explain than me. But all of our new technology is really going to do that. Yeah.
And I can also add that at the next, or in the near future, at the last board meeting, our executive director, Jesse Krobochinski, reported that we're in the middle of a brand health survey that really will aim to answer that question of what is the market potential. And then we can use these marketing automation platforms to continue to grow enrollment into the future.
Other questions, feedback for Doug and John? Dr. Babley, I think Dr. Babley is right. I think this is an opportune discussion for us to continue over the next year. We started this 90th anniversary year of Del Mar College talking about the opportunity that we have as a board and college leadership to dream and build what we want Del Mar College to look like at its 100th anniversary. And so I think this is part of that ongoing discussion. How do we look at the opportunities, look at the realistic challenges, and help create strategies to overcome those challenges, so that Del Mar can be all that it can be in year 100. Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to continued discussion, Dr. Escamilla. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to remind you that our master plan is a living, breathing document. It's supposed to change, and we welcome your comments. I've got red pens, and if you need some more, I can send those to you. It's like a snapshot in time. As of 3:53 on August 12th, 2025, here's our master plan, and by the time Doug gets to the door, it's out of date. There are things that are going to change, as well as some of the data that he was doing. That when he was doing this, Freedom to Dream didn't exist. We hadn't even started the program yet, and now you see a total change. And so it's how we're nimble and how we pivot in some of what he's doing. And so welcome your comments. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at our pending item list. We've got, let's see if I can scroll all the way there. In September, right now we are looking at an internal audit report to the board and a policy review. So Ms. McDonald will be back with us, and we'll talk about the policy process for the upcoming fiscal year. September, again, is the start of our fiscal year, so what policies are we going to look at? And then in October, looking at Clery report and some other programs this fall. Anything, questions on pending? If not, we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have 5 items under our consent agenda, including minutes and investment reports and financial reports, et cetera. Is there a motion to, is there any item that needs to be pulled for separate consideration?
I move adoption of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Second by Dr. Babley. Any discussion or questions? Is there any public comment on our consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to our regular agenda. We are going to have 2 items, and we'll vote on each of them separately, but they are related. The first is the order to call, order of the Board of Regents to call for the adoption of our maintenance and operations budget. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The college is mandated by the Texas Code 26 to hold a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budgets. Today's board action item is to hold a public hearing on August 27th at 11:30 a.m. on the proposed M&O and the debt service budgets that we described earlier this afternoon. Details of the tax and budget information. Okay. Following the board budget approval of the action. Following the board approval action item, the college will make the August 27th hearing public in this weekend's Caller Times newspapers.
You're saying the 27th, but it's actually the 26th, Tuesday the 26th.
Yes, I am sorry, the 26th.
That's all right. I just want to make sure we make a motion. So staff is asking for an action related to the adoption of the order to conduct a public hearing on our 25-26 college budget. Is there a motion to that effect? So moved by Dr. Adami. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Babley. Any public comment on this item? Any questions from our board members? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item is order to conduct our public hearing on the tax rate.
Yes, so the college is mandated by Texas Tax Code 26 to hold a public hearing on the proposed 2025-2026 tax rates. Today's board action item is to hold a public hearing on August 26th at 11:30 on the proposed M&O and debt service tax rates. Details of the tax and budget information was presented in today's proposed budget update. Following the board approval of this action, the college will make the August 26th hearing public in this weekend's Caller Times newspaper.
I hate to say this, but you said 11:30, so it's the 26th at 12. So this one, because we get, these do have to be time specific, so we will, we will hold this hearing on the 26th at 12 p.m.
12 p.m.
And this is the one they said earlier that we can't,
Correct.
With this, M&O debt service and combined tax rate is going to be published. We could lower those, but we could not increase those tax rates. So,
correct.
Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Dr. Babley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Krul. Any board questions or discussion? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. And Mr. Garcia is going to talk to us about our investment policy and strategy.
Yes, so in accordance with the board's investment policy adoption, the Texas Public Investment Act and the Public Funds Collateral Act, the college is required to have a written investment policy that describes our investment strategies, investment objectives, preservations and safety of principal, liquidity, diversification, and investment yields. The college is also required to review and update the investment policy on an annual basis. Dr. West, our Director of Accounting and Treasury Office, will next describe the results of this body of work with recommendations, followed by a proposed action item for the board. By the way, this body of work was conducted by the Meter Group, our investment, but they were not able to make it today. So.
Well, thanks, Raul, because you just said everything I was going to say. So before you is the resolution, we did conduct the annual review that we are required to do. And before you is the resolution for you to approve, and we are recommending no changes for this year.
Is there a motion to adopt the investment policy as presented? Second by Mr. Loeb, second by Dr. Babley. I'll get you next time, Mr. Kelly. Any board questions or discussion? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Mr. Kelly, I'm going to call on you for the next one. Mr. Garcia, item number 9.
Yes, thank you. In accordance with board policy, board investment policy adoption, the Texas Public Funds Investment Act and the Public Funds Collateral Act, the college is required to review, revise, and adopt a list of qualified brokers that are authorized to engage in investment activity for the college on an annual basis. Dr. West, our Director of Accounting and Treasury, will next describe the results of this body of work and recommendations, followed by a proposed action item for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Roel. So before you is the resolution for you to adopt, and we have added 2 broker-dealers to the list, Alamo Capital and Jane Street, and it is there for you to approve.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adopt the authorized broker-dealer list? Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Beverly.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How many of these firms do we actually utilize?
We don't use, that many of these. I mean, this is really meter groups list, and they are actually out of Ohio. So, there's a lot of broker-dealers on the list that we don't use. But they are there to use if need
necessary,
be.
we can use them.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We do have one action item coming out of closed session from earlier. Mr. Garza, do you have that action?
Yes, Madam Chair. Based on our evaluation of Dr. Escamilla and our deliberation in closed session earlier, I move that we amend the college president's employment contract as follows. We want to increase the annual base salary to $420,000 and add an additional 5 days of personal leave. All other terms and conditions remain unchanged, and the amendments will take effect on September 1st, 2025. And our general counsel is directed to prepare the appropriate documentation for signature.
There's been made a motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Averett. Sorry. Is there any discussion on this item?
Clarification, that's 5 days per annum, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment on this item? If not, all those in favor of this item, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. As we said, Dr. Escamilla, when we gave you your performance evaluation, the board is very proud of the work that you have done on behalf of Del Mar College. We recognize the skill as president and CEO, both within the college, within the Corpus Christi community, and of course across the state and across the nation as well. So thank you for your leadership.
I am honored and humbled to continue to lead this organization, to do what we do is raise educational attainment of this community. I've been speaking to the teams over the past several weeks, coming in and out of the end of spring semester, including faculty groups and so forth, and I've repeatedly told them how proud I am of them, of their work, of where we are. And I think I can say unequivocally from representing every employee here at the college, we are equally as excited to embark upon this fall semester because it is truly, truly, truly a different time in the history of our college. Getting ready for that centennial is what it's going to be about. And so thoughts and ideas that all of you all support of allowing us to be creative like never before, taking those opportunities, shall we say, is what's going to change everything about the complexity, about the very fabric of this community. I firmly believe that. I did not write that down because I think that every day. I thank you for your confidence, and as I said to you all before, I promise to reciprocate in ways that will that you've not seen from me before. I'm getting ready, and I know my team is too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Escamilla. All right, the last item on our agenda today is calendaring. You will note that we have convocation next Monday morning, and so if you are able to attend, please let Delia know, and there'll be seats for us up front, and have an opportunity to interact with our faculty and staff. Yes, sir.
I just got a note that
We have a quick video for fun about Saturday's registration the other day.
All right.
What it looked like.
We will do that after calendaring
Okay, just
and
wanna put
have
that
an
in the
opportunity to end the meeting on a high note. The following week, on the 25th, 26th, again, we start classes that week, and so if you have an opportunity to come be a part of the welcome, time come as long as you like, or for half an hour, 45 minutes, a couple hours, whatever your schedule allows you to, and let Delia know, and she'll get you assigned just here at Heritage Campus, or all three? Just here at Heritage Campus, great. And then on Tuesday, the 26th, we have adoption of our budget at 11:30, and then again, the tax rate at 12 noon. We do have an audit committee meeting that day as well. For those members of the audit committee, please plan on staying on Tuesday, the 26th. And then in September, our board meeting date, the CAT conference. For those of you who can attend the Dr. Hector P. Garcia luncheon on September the 17th, that is coming up as well. And then you see our October calendar that is there. So with our calendar for the rest of the year, we're going to look at this quick video, and after that, I will officially adjourn the meeting. But first, let's watch this video from Saturday.
Thanks, Steve.
Yay.
650 students were registered that day. Many more were seen and prepared for registration subsequent, in the future, rather, in future opportunities. Thanks to the team. Thanks to everybody who got out there. I thought we were going to be there till 10 o'clock at night. They processed everybody. We're supposed to close at 2. They closed at 4 or 5, I think, maybe around. I can't believe they got them all done. Thanks to the team.
Congratulations to all of you. That's great work, great work. And with that great news, we're going to adjourn our meeting at 4:08 p.m.